Two reports land on two different desks at the same company on the same Tuesday morning. The first one is about a person, someone who has sent 11 messages to a company executive in 6 days, and the messages have stopped asking for things and started making promises. The report says how likely that person is to show up and why. The second one is about a country. An election is coming in a place where the company has 200 employees and a factory, and the report says what happens to those employees in each of 3 scenarios and which one is most likely. Same department, completely different jobs, completely different skill sets. Both of them are called intelligence, and neither one requires a security clearance, a badge, or a single day in government service. This is our next route on the corporate security career mountain. And at the end, I'll tell you the one thing that separates analysts who get promoted from analysts who stay stuck. It isn't finding information, and most people get it exactly backwards. Today, what corporate intelligence actually is and how it differs from the government version. Tactical versus strategic, the split that explains everything else. The two big verticals, protective intelligence and converged risk, and the very different skills each one wants. The names these jobs hide behind on job boards. The legal and ethical guardrails that keep this work professional, and how to build toward it from where you are. Let's climb. First, the correction that matters most, especially if you're transitioning out of the military. Corporate intelligence is not a smaller version of government intelligence. It's a different job with the same name. In government, you're often working with classified collection, and your customer is a commander or a policymaker, and the question is national security. In the corporate world, you're working almost entirely with open source, publicly available information, and your customer is a business leader, and the question is, what does this mean for our people, our sites, our operations, and our reputation? Those 4 again. If you watch the crisis management video, you know them. That difference changes everything about the job. It means no clearance required. Most corporate intel roles don't need one. It means your value isn't access to secrets because you don't have any. Your value is judgment about public information, and it means every product you write has to end in a business decision. A brilliant analysis that doesn't tell a leader what to do is a hobby, not intelligence. Veterans, that's your translation layer, your tradecraft transfers, your discipline transfers, your writing transfers. What changes is the customer and the sourcing. Learn to answer, so what for the business, and you're most of the way there. Now the split that organizes this entire career field, tactical intelligence is near-term and specific. It's about a person, a place, an event, a shipment, a date. Is this individual a threat? Is the venue safe for Thursday? Is that protest going to reach our building? The time horizon is hours to weeks. The output is often a decision someone makes today. Strategic intelligence is long-range and pattern level. What's happening to this region over the next year? What does this new regulation do to our risk exposure? Which of our markets is getting less stable? Is it wise to build our data center in this town where the constituency is strongly vocal about anti-gentrification or anti-tech? The time horizon is months to years, and the output is planning, where the company invests, expands, hardens, or leaves. Here's the mental model. Tactical intelligence answers, what's about to happen to us? Strategic intelligence answers, what kind of world are we operating in? Most corporate intelligence shops do both, and the 2 verticals we're covering next map almost cleanly onto that split. And here's the part that trips up almost everyone applying. These 2 roles can carry the exact same job title and require almost nothing in common. If you apply to the wrong one with the wrong preparation, you will lose to someone who understood the difference. So let's make sure you're not that person. Protective intelligence is the tactical side, and it's about people who might do harm, to executives, to employees, to facilities. The daily work might consist of the following: monitoring inbound communications to the company and its leaders, watching social media chatter for people who are fixated, escalating, or threatening, running the queries that surface it. And yes, that's a real skill. Boolean logic, the ands, ors, nots, quotation marks, and wildcards that turn a vague worry into a search that actually finds something. Analysts who write good queries find things that analysts who type words into a search bar never see. Then the identification work. Someone posts a threat under a handle. Protective intelligence works to figure out who that is, cross-referencing usernames across platforms, matching profile details, building out publicly available identifiers, and correlating them until a real person emerges. This is where corporate OSINT gets genuinely technical, and where the guardrails I'll cover in a minute become critical. And then the part that separates a professional from someone with a hunch, structured professional judgment tools. These are standardized frameworks for assessing whether someone poses a real risk. WAVR-21, the Workplace Assessment of Violence Risk, and is a 21-item framework used for workplace violence concerns. CTAP-25 is used for assessing threatening communications. There are others in the family, like TRAP-18 on the radicalization side. Why do they matter so much? Because without them, I think this guy is dangerous, is just an opinion. With them, you have a documented, repeatable, professionally recognized structure for why, which item factors are present, which are absent, and what that pattern means. That does three things. It makes your assessment consistent instead of mood dependent. It makes it communicable to HR, legal, and leadership in language they can act on. And critically, it makes it defensible. If the case ever goes to a restraining order, a termination dispute, or a courtroom, the difference between a structured assessment and a gut feeling is the difference between evidence and embarrassment. Career note: these tools generally require training to use properly, and that training is available, which is exactly the kind of credential that makes a junior candidate stand out. Converged risk is the strategic side, and the word converged is the whole idea. Instead of watching physical security risk in one silo, cyber in another, geopolitical in a third, and supply chain in a fourth, this team looks at all of them as one connected picture, because in the real world they're the same story. A port strike is a supply chain issue and a business continuity issue. A conflict is a geopolitical event and a travel safety problem and a cyber threat spike. Convergence is the recognition that the company doesn't experience risk in departmental categories. The skills are almost the mirror image of protective intelligence, deep geopolitical or regional specialization, and someone who genuinely understands a region's politics, factions, and history rather than reading headlines about it. Historical literacy, because the analyst who knows how a country's last 3 elections went is the one who can tell you what the fourth will do. Relentless current events discipline, reading widely, every day, and noticing what's changing before it's obvious, and forecasting, building scenarios with likelihoods attached, not predictions with false confidence. The output looks different too. Daily and weekly intelligence briefs, country risk assessments, scenario papers, threat landscape reviews that feed budget and expansion decisions. If protective intelligence is a magnifying glass, converged risk is a telescope. Who thrives here? International relations, political science, history, and area studies majors. The people constantly told their degree isn't practical. In this corner of security, it's the qualification. Language skills are a genuine multiplier. Now, a practical problem, simply searching for intelligence roles, can be confusing without specificity. The job titles relevant to physical security would be these: Threat Intelligence Analyst, Protective Intelligence Analyst, Global Security Intelligence Analyst, Intelligence Operations Center Analyst, sometimes shortened to IOC, Global Intelligence Center Analyst, Threat Management Analyst, Geopolitical Risk Analyst, Country Risk Analyst, OSINT Analyst, Security Risk Analyst, Insider Threat Analyst. Some companies fold this work into Global Security Operations Analyst, the GSOC seat we covered in video 2. And 2 traps. Business intelligence is not this job. That's data analytics and dashboards. Competitive intelligence is market research about rival companies. Both will waste your time. Read the responsibilities, not the title, every time. One more thing that separates professionals from amateurs, and it's the part that gets people fired. Corporate intelligence operates inside real legal and ethical limits. Open source means open, publicly available, not hacking, not pretexting your way into an account, not creating fake profiles to friend someone in most corporate policies. Privacy law matters, and it varies enormously by country. What's routine in one jurisdiction is illegal in another, and multinational companies take that seriously. Employee monitoring in particular touches labor law, works councils, and HR policy in ways that will get a company sued. So mature programs run on documented policy, legal partnership, and a clear standard for what you collect, why, and how long you keep it. If you are ever unsure whether you should look something up, that hesitation is the job telling you to ask legal first. Say that in an interview and you'll sound like someone who has done this before. So how do you get in? The most reliable door is the one we keep coming back to, the GSOC. Every shift is entry-level intelligence work, monitoring events, judging relevance, writing it up. Ask for the analytical tasks and you're building the portfolio. Unfortunately, many of these roles will be advertised requiring at least a bachelor's degree. But if you're in a GSOC already and your work has exposure to the intelligence team, there's always a chance that a hiring manager can make an exception so long as your skill sets are strong. Build OSINT skill deliberately. Boolean logic, search methodology, verification. There are courses and communities for this, and it's testable in an interview. Get threat assessment training if protective intelligence is your target. Professional associations in this space run training and credentials, and formal certification in threat management is one of the strongest signals a junior candidate can carry. Write constantly. Pick a real event. Write a one-page assessment. What happened? What it means for a hypothetical company. What you'd recommend and how confident you are. Do that weekly for 3 months and you'll have a portfolio and a habit. And that document is what you bring to the interview. Students, read a region until you know it better than the news does. Vets, your tradecraft transfers, your sourcing doesn't. Learn open source, learn the business customer. Which brings us to the promise from the top, the thing that separates analysts who get promoted from analysts who stay stuck. It isn't finding information. Everyone assumes that's the job. Information is abundant and getting more abundant every year. Finding things is the entry fee, not the profession. The difference is the willingness to make a call and to say how sure you are. The stuck analyst delivers facts. Here's what we found, here's the chatter, here's the article. The promoted analyst says, here's what we assess is most likely. Here's our confidence level, here's what would change our mind, and here's what we recommend you do about it. That analyst is putting judgment on the record, with the possibility of being wrong, in writing in front of executives. That's uncomfortable, and it's the entire value of the profession. Leaders don't need a research assistant, they need someone who will tell them what it means. Practice it now, and every assessment you write with "so what" and "therefore." Most applicants never do, and it's obvious in 30 seconds of reading. That's corporate intelligence. 2 very different jobs under one name, no clearance required, and a straight line from a GSOC seat to a career built on judgment. I'm the security Sherpa, and this channel hands you the map nobody handed me, one route at a time. Drop a comment. Which route gets mapped next? And if you're an analyst, what's the assessment you got right that nobody wanted to hear? See you at the next camp.